We are going to, so this is the official call to order. We're starting the meeting at 6:10. And I will run the roll call. I'll start with you, Heidi. Heidi Graham. Here she is. Hey, Bob. You're just in time. We just called to order.
Perfect.
Perfect timing.
Am I ordered?
Actually, you know what? You're Barb's sitting here, so you can sit next to Heidi, or you can sit next to me.
Well, gee.
Both will be
being
mostly
recorded.
both will be mostly off camera. So
All right, Mary. Why don't we? I think we all should just announce our presence. That's
Just
the official
me.
way to do it. Yeah.
All right, Mary Carville.
Ryan Kelly.
Ellen Daly.
Michaela Early.
Robin Lawson
Barb Luby.
and Barb Brackens here. Now, I have some updates on membership status and registration in the MCC Grants Management System. And the update is that everyone, all of us, have signed in.
Yay.
Thank God. Check it off.
And as you probably know, I have registered you all in the MCC grant system, so that should be up to date. Just so that you know, the town website is not yet updated with all our names, because things have been very busy at town hall. That will happen, I'm sure, and I ask that it be done by mid-October, which is when the grants are all due, although it's certainly not that. It's not too far out. But anyway, so did everybody get an email from the MCC with your login? Okay, so you log in with your own, you create your own email address. You too, Barb. You create your, you look at that one. Create your
I'm
own.
trying to remember.
Yeah, well, it's, anyway, it's not imminent because we don't need to, the panel book won't be available. The panel book is the weird terminology for the grants applications. So we won't actually need that until November 1st or something along those lines. But the grant application period is open currently. And it will be open through October 15th. Okay? And then when that panel book is available, then our job is to go in and review all the grant applications, and then we'll go have our voting meeting sometime at the end of probably November, early December, and then we'll vote on this. So that's of course a key milestone. I must report that even though I told you at our last meeting that I was going to create a press release for the Daily News about the grant application, but I plead illness, and it's actually not that important because in my experience, the grant applicants, they know the drill, and they don't really need to see an article in the newspaper. It's just something that I like to do because it's good visibility for the councils, but it didn't get done.
It's also a good reminder to people that, oh my goodness, it really is October tomorrow.
Yes, that's true. Well, we can still do it, but I'll tell you, the other reason is that we still don't have an email address. I'm sorry to report. And it's because it's just the staffing over here is not as responsive as one would like. So I'm essentially waiting for a password. And right now, and I'll just go over this with you quickly, even though I think you all know it. So right now we have a Gmail account. Bart is the only person with access to it, which is very, very awkward and unwieldy and inconvenient. And I'm signed up to monitor the email, but we want the town of Newbury email address. And I've been waiting for months to get that resolved. So suffice to say, I'm working on it. But it doesn't make sense to send out a press release or do any publicity at all until we have that official cultural council at townofnewbury.org. So I actually do have a life, but I can see clear. And the other thing that happens is, for me, normally I finish my work week, Friday. Town hall's closed on Friday, so I can't do my usual, chasing around after people on Fridays because they're not here, and I tend to forget that. So that's my whine and rant of the day. Next on our agenda. So any comments or questions on that?
Just a quick question. So that we could do a press release, would it make sense to put in someone else's email that's with the town and say, I can't imagine they're going to get inundated, but if you get any, could you forward them to us?
No, because right now we have our backup is the one that people already have, which is Gmail.
Yeah.
Bart, he monitors the email account, we use that email account. It's just that I don't want to announce it until, because it should be, this other situation should be resolved really quickly.
Yeah.
So it's not like we
Okay.
really need it, but that was a good suggestion. Anybody else have a comment? Okay, next on our agenda is council approval of Alan Daly to serve as secretary. Now, who would like to nominate Alan?
I'd like to nominate Ellen to be our secretary.
I'd like to second. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Thank
Can I
you,
vote for
Alan.
myself?
Unanimous vote.
Technically not.
And then, so the responsibilities of secretary are obvious, but one thing that has to happen is the minutes need to be posted. Well, first of all, you and I will go over them, and anybody else who wants to see them, it's totally fine. Then we send them to Gretchen, the town clerk, and Gretchen actually posts them officially on the website. And then the other thing that your responsibility is to prepare the agenda, which is, this is the official last name. Okay, and so I have it it's downloadable from the town, but I'll just send it to you. And then make sure that it has to be posted 2 days before the meeting, which is why I told you I was sending it to Gretchen on Wednesday, because town hall is closed on Fridays. So anyway, that's something that will now fall to you, Helen.
Okay.
Okay? Excellent. The update on email address and access I already gave you, because that was contingent on something else. Bart, treasurer's report.
So I thought I'd go over 3 things with you. Talk a little bit about what our reporting is to the Mass Cultural Council. A little bit about the process that we're going through right now in terms of approving things, and then a summary of where we stand of all the grants that were approved for this year, and what's been paid so far and what's outstanding. So let me start with, we have to submit to the Mass Cultural Council a report that says this is how much money is encumbered. You were able to give out this much money. This is how much is encumbered based on what we approved from last year. This is then how much is left over that can be applied to next year. It was due today, and I received it 2 hours ago. And it's really my fault because I should be more on top of these deadlines. I looked it up, and I thought we had submitted it in early October. It's actually due today, but it's not. We can't send it out because it's inaccurate. But it's typically the town accountant that does it. She just forgot to put in one section, which I'm sure she was looking to me to give to her. So I just sent her a note back and told her what that number is. And so that will basically bring us down to, we're going to have maybe $100 in the balance. She's now showing $2,200, but there's been expenditure since then. So anyway, so that's what we have to report. This will then kind of, it's a report that kind of ends, last year's. And then the next report we're going to do is they're going to give us our grant, and then we're going to take the money that was left over, add it to the grant, and that's the amount of money that we're going to have available when we need to vote on what's available to us. It's pretty simple. The second thing I was going to do is to kind of go over what I do as the treasurer, and recognizing that at some point we're going to need to transition me, because this is my last year, so I can't run after this.
June 30th.
June 30th, yeah. Yes, on June 30th. And so what happens is that we approve the amount of money for the grantees, and they then have their event. Then they send to us their W-9s, evidence that they actually acknowledged our funding. Now, I'm finding that most of them don't refer to it as the Newbury Cultural Council, they refer to it as the Mass Cultural Council. But generally it's in the posters, it's in the various materials and all that. Then they have to demonstrate to us that they actually expended some money that's related to this. And then they submit a reimbursement request, much like you would, reimbursement from work. Here's what I want, and this is what it's for. Requires 2 signatures, and I sign it typically, and then because Robin's right around the corner, Robin ends up being the second signatory, but any one of you can be the signatory as well. Then I have to put together a actual request to the accountant for the town, which is this form, and it just lists, what it's for. I have to sign it and what account it comes out of. And then I sign it. I will then send it to her, Ava, who's the accountant, and I usually do it electronically in a PDF, and then she cuts a check usually within a week or 2. So that's the process. So again, it doesn't take very long. The final thing is I was going to give you a status update here of where we are. And I wish I would follow Robin's approach of no paper, but I don't have anything to project. I don't know what to do. So I printed too much. So last year, and
But we appreciate it.
so last year, there were a total of 19 grants that were given out for a total of $6,750. So far, 8 people have requested money, including this group here that actually, it's the Greater Newburyport Ovarian Cancer. I guess they call it awareness. Here they have it as a different name. But that is included in ones that have been completed. So as you can see, we've paid out $2,300 so far for 8 grants. We have outstanding of 11 for a total of $4,450.
With that $300.
The $300 is actually included. I just assumed it would be
Okay.
completed because everything was approved, so they'll cut the checks as soon as I send it in, probably tonight. I just need your second signature.
No, I
So-
just said that because I don't want to be picky, this is silly, but just that you had the $300 down here.
Oh, did I miss it?
Yeah.
Did I
It's-
miss
it's-
it? I thought I got it. It's just like that. I just want to see if it was double counted. Nope,
No, it looks like it's just on the bottom.
it's just
It's
on the bottom.
outstanding.
That was my error. My error. I've been
Not
doing
mine.
right here. So it's my error. 9 have been done, and so the payout then has been $2,600, and so I have to let Ava know that we paid out $2,300 and not $2,600. Okay. So that's it. Any questions? Pretty straightforward.
Where are the dates associated with these activities?
They're in the spreadsheet that I have, and
Okay.
I can get that to you. That will show you what the dates are.
So everyone's getting paid after the fact.
Always after the fact, except we did do an advance payment.
We made an exception.
We made an exception because they said they needed an Indigenous Day People's Day.
Yeah.
And it was Imagine Studios, and we did give them a $300 payment. I believe it's going to be next weekend. So it's going to get to them maybe a week early.
And that's because Bart and I had full confidence that this event would take place. It's an annual event. Its folks are very reliable. So it was really, it just didn't make sense to say no to us.
I only asked because in the training, they mentioned that you could do it either way.
Oh, they did they? Oh, good.
Yeah.
'Cause I'm really glad that you told us
Yeah.
that, because I thought we were breaking the rules. So I'm
Um,
glad to hear that we were.
Yeah.
That was actually a test. Michaela passed. She's the new treasurer.
That was a good question for the next treasurer.
Yeah.
Yeah, okay. So,
There you go.
Yeah.
I really love that the rules said that it had to be after the fact. That's because I haven't read the stuff recently. I read it
I-
12 years ago.
I think that it was in that training. I think the issue though is that they have to demonstrate that they've expended money.
Okay.
So if they've demonstrated they can, because you have to know that they have spent the money before we can reimburse them for
I
it. So it
see.
is reimbursement, it's not advances.
But
Okay.
wouldn't that be everyone that has expended the money first?
Usually, but not always. some of the stuff that we reimburse might be, service, they put on a play or something, and there may not have been a lot of upfront expenditures.
So I get paid by some libraries to come and teach at different places, and there's no cost until I show up, and then I send an invoice, and then they have to reimburse after that. So I charge for the time that I'm there. I don't charge for the email, I don't charge for the call. So a lot of the classes that I teach, I get paid through Tingsboro Cultural Council or Mass Cultural Council, whatever it is. So it's after the fact. I send them the invoice, and then they're like, okay, well, it's gonna, get a check in a month or so, because they then have to show that it's the same process you just said. So it most of the time it's after. But there are absolutely some of bigger performances where they already have promotional material. They can prove that they have the New Cultural Council thing right on their pamphlet that's already been handed out to 500 people. So a lot of it is cost before, but some is also cost after.
Yeah, I actually can't remember ever having been approached by somebody saying, can they get paid in advance? And
Yeah.
if they all come afterward, but this is just an excellent clarification, and I'm glad that we've had this conversation, because it makes perfect sense.
And also, something we dealt with at Newburyport was some of the things, kind of like what you guys did, where like the event won't go unless they hit their number, because they need to hit that number a week before, because then they lock in the policy, then they lock in the venue, so there's, depending on the performance and depending on their coin purse, it depends on if they can shell it out and have some outstanding balance for a month. So sometimes those are the ones you want to give and make sure you give money, because you're like, gosh darn, they couldn't do this if they didn't get that
Well, yeah, I'm
extra $500.
surprised that more
Right.
people don't ask for money.
Yes.
I know, because
Right.
where's the money come from? Somebody's got it from
I
the
know.
money,
Yeah.
right?
Mhm.
I don't know the answer.
Or they can just not pay anybody until after.
Yeah.
And they're just like, we will get your check, this is getting approved, and then they base it off of approval, so they don't even have to have the cash flow to do it.
Mhm, mhm. Okay, any more discussion on that, on that item? Delvina Theater Company, at the request of the Council on Aging, would like to change the program from Bon Voyage Forever to Lizzie Borden and the 40 Wax, coming up in about a month. So, we need to approve or disapprove that change. What do you do? I make a motion
Mhm.
that we
Or
approve.
you
I-
can ask for an emotion.
All right, I'd like to ask that someone make a motion to approve the request from the Delvina Theater Company and the Council on Aging.
I make a motion.
Second?
She can say it out when she says that, because you have to do a motion, she's going to make a motion, so she has to say what the motion is.
Oh, you have to say what the motion is.
Okay, so how do you say to begin with?
I move.
I move that we approve the Davina Theater Company changing Bon Voyage Forever to Lizzie Borden.
Second?
Yeah.
All in favor?
Aye.
Next,
I haven't heard of either, so it's perfect.
So does that just mean they're doing a different play and they needed to let us know the name of the
they have to
different
get
play?
approval.
Okay.
Those are definitely the rules.
And it was at the request, I think, of the
The council.
council, yeah, not agent.
Oh, the
Something
council
they-
did it like Bon Voyage Forever?
No, they wanted
They-
40 wax.
Liz, 40 wax. They
They're
thought
both
Lizzie
kind
Borden
of-
would be more
They're
fun.
both a little strange to me for elderly council.
Bon
the
voyage
folks, but-
forever.
Is it?
And a lot of times a venue has booked a performer or an event, and at the last minute, that performer can't do it, you gotta change it. And, you've already been granted a request as an entity, so you think that if you change the performer, you should be able to move that over, but it has to be officially voted. Gotcha.
Thank you.
Makes sense.
And none of us knows the background of this. But I know, I've seen, that program, the Lizzie Borden and the 40 Wax, has come up in the past, so it's been on the agenda, so we.
So is that if anyone changes their programming, then we have to prove it?
That makes sense.
Yeah, but this is a significant program, because that's the one we approved, and so, it's those rules. Okay, update on signage initiative. So I know you all saw my follow-up from my conversation with Tracy Bliss, which was very positive. So I think I will hunt this over to you, Ryan, so you're kind of leading the charge on that one. Did you see?
Am I leading the charge on this one?
Yes, you are. Did you see did anybody besides me, I should have hung on to it, but there was a letter to the editor from Joe Fix about, did you see it about the, I forgot what it was about 3 weeks ago. Thanking volunteers for going out and working on the
They
hay
built one of
bales?
those hay,
The hay mounds.
hay
Yeah, they look like they're new.
They're actually
were
called a
recently-
cock of hay
That was a
from
problem.
Ireland,
Mm.
is what I've been told. My husband's from Ireland, so
Oh,
called cocks of hay.
well, that's picturesque. So,
But the Newbury farmers never called it that.
Yeah.
Right.
Newbury.
Yeah.
So
I don't know.
I think what we need to do is, first of all, next time you're out in that direction, if you could take some photos.
Sure, I
That
can
would
do
be a
that
good
tomorrow.
thing. And then we need to write up some sort of a, what did you say, proposal. Oh, we need to get in touch with the, somebody from our committee needs to get in touch with the historical commission. Channing Howard is the chair. Mainly to, I think it's just a courtesy to loop in the historical commission about the initiative. You want to do that, Ryan? You know
I'll
him,
email,
right?
yeah, I'm writing that down right now.
And then she said, talk to the assessor's department. I think you know somebody there, Mark, Ryan?
The assessor's department?
Yeah.
You mean my dad who's the chair?
That's exactly.
I don't know if that's a conflict of interest.
An easy
Determine
phone
the
call.
exact, but the exact
Thanks,
locations of the
okay.
salt marsh sign and the mile markers. I think what we decided to do is to delay the mile markers and concentrate on.
Yeah, we're just
what-
gonna do one
Yeah.
first, so we can actually succeed in something before we try too much.
And so, we,
What a concept.
and the exact location of the salt marsh sign, I mean, it's on Route 1 and,
Yeah.
we did GPS coordinates or something, but,
Yeah.
but anyway, so,
So what am I asking potentially my father?
You're not really asking anything.
Okay.
Tracy's suggestion was to talk to the assessor's department to get the exact locations. Now at that point, we were talking about all the signs, the mile markers as well as the salt marsh sign. There are 5 mile markers, but then I found the map. So that's kind of a moot point. That was afterwards. I found
Okay.
that, and I actually have some of those maps. The historical commission actually put those maps together. I sent you a PDF. I think I emailed you all the map, I think. Anyway, so that's a historical department initiative. But anyway, so Ryan, if you would shoot an email to Channing and with, 3 sentences and tell him what we're up to, just to say, we want you to know that the cultural council has taken on an initiative of replacing the sign. Now, meanwhile, because of Joe Fix's letter, and Heidi, you might know this better than I do, is the Sportsman's Club that put the original up, are they still even around? Because you said last time we talked about this that they were not.
I do not believe they're functioning now.
All right,
I
But
can
we-
double check.
all right. If you could double check
Yeah.
that. Just to, we want to cross our Ts and dot our Is, we don't want to ruffle any feathers.
Take their sign down if they're
Yeah. We don't
still
want
around.
to mix a metaphor, we don't want to ruffle any feathers and we want to cross our Ts and dot our Is. So yeah, you could do that, Heidi, and then Ryan, if you could just shoot an email to Channing, and then we'll just, one step at a time, just make sure that we keep everybody in the loop. And then, discuss with DPW, I don't know what that entails, yes?
Because Route 1 is a
State.
state road.
It's a
we have
state
to
highway, yeah.
Get state permission.
Tracy said that the town would help us with that.
Okay.
Yeah, that's.
But yes, we will.
Essentially what Tracy says is, we'll support, the town will support, the DPW, any funding, anything that needs to happen, work with the police, work with the state, the town will help us with that. I mean, that's what she said to me, pretty much word for word. Okay?
Because it's town land, even though it's a state highway.
Yeah, there's a overlay when state roads go through town. So all the work they just did at Route 1 and Hanover Street, it's all town property, but it's a state highway project. So they have different contracts and different things, and sometimes there's state police there, sometimes there's local police there, so. It's why it's good that we're asking questions beforehand, because just because you think a sign is in Newbury, not even on the highway, there's usually like a variance area.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
Super fun.
So once we do all this, you know, the criminal background work, then the next step is to develop a proposal with photos and estimates, and I don't have a clue where the estimates would come from. My guess is the DPW would probably have a recommendation of a person to create the sign.
There might be, I doubt it, but when I go stop and take pictures, I'll see if there's any signage or sign or manufacturer or something on the back, but I don't think so.
All right.
I
Be
suspect that the
careful.
Sportsman's Club made it themselves.
That's, yeah.
Be careful when you do that, please.
I sure hope I know how to park.
Sink into the mark.
Do we have a photo of it? Have we shared?
I'm going to take that photo tomorrow
Okay,
of its current.
and send it to all of us. Thank you. I think I know which sign it is, but I'm not
It
100%
is
sure.
literally, couldn't be closer to where the hill coming from Route 1 south going north, right, you cross the marsh, it is right before the guardrail starts and the hill goes up to point towards Newburyport. It's right before the hill. So you go across the marsh, you go across the wildlife center there, a little bit of the river itself, and then it's flat, and then right before the hill starts, it is right on the right, going north.
Okay.
It's a tiny little green faded sign with graffiti that was washed off and probably covered with Phragmites.
Or for what?
Phragmites.
Oh. Probably. I just realized something.
Mm-hmm.
You don't need to check with Channing Howard, because this is not, it's nothing to do with the historic commission. It has only, that was really
That was the
referring to the
mile
mile
markers.
markers, yeah.
Mhm.
So I don't know that he would care, because that's not under the aegis of the historic commission. I mean, it's never a bad idea to keep people apprised.
Yeah, I mean, I think there's a historical element because the sign is showing the hay bales.
Okay, well, all
Right.
right, it's never a bad, I mean, to me, it's never a bad idea to be transparent
Yeah,
and inclusive.
I'm gonna
but-
include Jason and Channing and send one email because I like to be efficient.
And Channing would like it,
You would like it?
yes.
Good. You wouldn't think it's spam or
What?
junk mail?
No, he would appreciate.
You would
being
appreciate it?
notified.
Okay, good.
Are we, sorry, I'm not sure if this is the right time to be asking this, but are we considering changing what the sign says, or are we just gonna make a new sign that's not ruined?
I think we potentially, that's why asking the people is a good idea. But we could always update if there's been new things found out or make sure it's current and proper. And also, we'll probably be redesigning, if only
Mhm.
somebody knew how to do something like that. We'll probably be redesigning it so it's a little more legible and make sure it's a little better than what it is.
And who rebuilt the haystacks last time?
I don't know who the volunteers were, but I know a whole group of people did.
Mm.
I know Evan, my neighbor, helped a couple years ago, but he didn't help this time.
Yeah.
So, yeah, I think a group of people literally like go out there in trucks on like a morning and just throw it all together.
Just on a separate note, I'd love to find out who that is, because I'd love for them to do it on the Plum Island ones, because
Mhm.
they're gonna disappear, those holders
Yeah.
that hold them up if we don't. use
I don't
them.
know if Joe posted about it or whatever, I
Joe
don't
wrote a letter
get
that was
the,
published in the Daily News.
okay.
And I know Joe, so I can follow up with Joe if you want me to.
I think the Cunninghams built the one on Plum Island.
Hmm.
There's two of them that still show up, but
Yeah.
they won't, they used to put hay on them when I first
Mhm.
moved up here like 20 years ago, but they don't anymore.
Yeah, well, it's because those people aren't around anymore.
How does the sign get paid for?
Town money,
Town money?
probably. I don't know how it was paid for before, because Heidi,
I think originally the Sportsman's Club was very active. They had somebody gathered together. They got a group of people to rebuild the haystacks that had been there a long time before. And they put their name on the sign, that it was, done under the auspices of the Sportsman's Club. And then subsequently, other people have gathered, but I don't know who gathers those other volunteers to do that. If there's some, that would just be an interesting thing to find out.
I think it's just a random phone call at this point,
Yeah.
that things get done.
Yeah.
But it doesn't come out of our budget.
no, definitely does not come out of our budget. No, our budget is strictly for Well, let me address that in a second. When I talked to Tracy, she specifically said they would support us with funding. Whether that actually means that the town will come up with money for the sign, I don't know. What she's saying, what she said to me was, essentially, we will help you. Now, to your other question, the money that we were just talking about, that Bart was talking about, that's our state allotment. That is state money. The Cultural Council, the town has money set aside in a fund for town events. So that sign could feasibly come up. Heidi, sorry folks, that could feasibly come up. I think it's $5,000, Heidi, right? Something like
Yeah,
that.
it's called the celebration account. Right now, the balance is 2,000 something. I don't think they've put anything else into it this year. I haven't seen that they have. But
Well, but there is money, it's voted on at town meeting for the celebration account and, amount TBD. But those funds were available to us because we got approval for Newbury Town Day. And going forward, I don't know what that looks like. However, there's just tremendous support in the town for what we're doing, for what we did with Newbury Town Day and what we're doing now, whatever that looks like. So, and that of course has to be voted at town meeting because it's a town expenditure. But there's a huge support for it. Uh-oh, Heidi looks skeptical.
no, it may be possible that the report I get is the celebration account Newbury Town Day balance,
Mm.
and not
The total other balance.
Mm.
It'd be weird if you got the full town balance.
well, just for the celebration account.
Right, but.
Because originally the celebration account was $5,000.
Mhm.
Yeah. So,
No, because I remember way back when Heidi and I first were proposing Newbury Town Day, and that was in 2001. We knew immediately that we would have town support,
Mhm.
that there would be some funds. As I recall, it was $5,000. But this is all from my memory, not necessarily anything written about, but we'll find this. We'll
I
find
would
out.
also argue that if it ends up being a few $1,000s, whatever it is, there's either gonna be some person that we could reach out to and say, pay for it, and we'll put your name on it. Or we say, it's X amount of dollars, and we can take 1,000 from the DPW, 1,000 from the celebration thing. Like, there's ways to kind of just pull some pennies together, because a few $1,000s in the scheme of a multi-million-dollar yearly budget is just like nothing. But we wanna make sure that we're being aware of those and looking for opportunities to, whether it's, hey, the local sportsman club is gonna pay for it and put it on there, or the local historical society has a grant and this is a historical related thing, so now there's a collaboration between them, and it's all the things we talked about at our offsite meeting, so.
Yes. Okay, so, any other comments about update on the signage initiative? Now we get to talk about the action plan for town activities, Newbury Town Day. And I would like to suggest for opening up for discussion that we consider, of all our ideas, just a suggestion, that we start with the known quantity, which was what we talked about, which is the scaled down Newbury Town Day with the things that worked really well. The open artist studio, the kids' activities, whatever we did at Spencer Pierce Little Farm, and we do it at the upper green, and that be what we focus on. Same as with the signage, just put a stake in the ground and focus on that. That's my suggestion. However, if somebody else wants to look at the list of ideas that we threw out and said, no, let's do this would be something that I want to work on, and I think we can do this at some time in the first quarter, then cool. The other thing that I want to suggest too is that we talk about subcommittees, given the fact that there are 8 of us, but still, subcommittees and somebody who's the leader for each one of the activities that we are talking about, just just from an organizational standpoint. So, what's everybody think about that?
Yeah.
Sounds good.
Yeah, well, actually, there were two things I put out there, so.
Yes.
Thing one and thing two.
Thing one.
Yes.
You agree? Everybody agree with that?
Yep.
Let's start with.
So I'm just looking at your chart, kind of. So you're
Using
talking
the
about
device.
just the Newbury Town Days, various activities throughout the year
Mm-hmm.
is all we would focus on. And leave these others, I just want to make sure that I'm being clear. And one of the reasons I'm asking, and that's why I was curious about the dates on these, probably the old planner, the event planner in me, but I think it would be interesting to consider what we do to round out the calendar of
Yeah,
events that
yeah.
happen in the year,
I agree.
between what other people are doing and what we're doing, so,
Makes sense.
if that makes sense. I didn't say it well, but you're with me, right? You know what
I am
mean?
with you.
You mean spread it around the year?
Yeah, well, I'd love to see what the dates for all of these are, and I'll even do this as secretary. Here's the calendar of activity that Newbury Cultural Council grants supported. And then if we have a plethora of stuff in the fall and nothing in the spring, then maybe we would think about doing some of our activity in the spring to fill in a gap that might exist, or might not. I don't know when these dates are.
Well, right now, there aren't any dates. There aren't any dates.
No, but if a lot of the same people come through and ask it year from year for these traditionally, then we might,
Our awardees.
yeah, I'm not
What
explaining
are the
myself.
events for our awardees?
Oh, I didn't understand what you meant.
Yeah,
Okay, the events are throughout the year.
understood.
Yeah.
But,
Okay.
but I'd like to see the calendar of
I
them, so
see.
that,
Right.
let's pretend that's our Newbury Cultural Council calendar of event activity.
Ooh.
To
Um,
confirm.
Yeah,
I
and
like
so we'll
that.
look at the 2024 for right now, and then we can make some assumptions that 2025 will be similar, because a lot of the same folks come back, and then we can see what do we want to do. I mean, we might do what we want to do at whatever time of year we think we can and should do it anyway, or we might want to make sure we're filling in a gap
All right,
somewhere.
I'm gonna play devil's advocate with that.
Okay,
A lot of the events that we fund don't happen in town,
okay,
okay? It's Newburyport Choral Society, which is in Newburyport. The Newburyport Documentary Film Festival, Indigenous People Day, actually, most of them are not even in Newbury. So I
Okay.
don't know that there's necessarily
Good point.
an overlap there. Yeah, I think what we're doing is kind of on a separate, it's not kind of, I think what we're doing is on a separate track.
okay. That's fair enough.
As far as the Newberry Town Day goes, or the other activities?
The grantees is on a separate track. That's money that we fund
Okay.
for other activities,
All right.
wherever they might be.
Okay.
They tend to be, a lot of them are Newburyport. And
So we
for
essentially
instance,
would
you
make
have-
our own calendar.
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah. So you've got, or you have some program on October 31st at the Council on Aging. That's in Newbury, but I don't know that it's even, if there's an overlap with some of the things that we talked about. So if we look at this list here, it says Newbury Town Day, and it's just the way I laid this out. This was just, a brainstorming session, and we'll adjust this as we go along. But Newbury Town Days, various activities throughout the year, and then below. The open artists, so if you think about what happened, and again, I am not advocating for this, I'm just structuring the discussion. The open artist studios, the kids' activities, those were both Newbury Town Day activities at Spencer Pierce Little Farm that were very successful. So I think one of the things that we might think about is just redoing, or doing Newbury Town Day again on one day with a scale, we talked about this, scaled down, right? Says it just in one place, it's on the upper green. That's what we talked about. And whatever is associated with that happens there. It's a three-legged race, whatever it might be. And then, so that's the one thing. And that what I was suggesting before is that we focus on that and we say, let's assign a date to that. We're going to do that in June. And then we look at the other things that are, that we would like to do, the things that we talked about. For instance, the tours of artist studios and with progressive treats. We could say, oh, let's do that in April, right? So these would be the activities that happen throughout the year. But we need somebody to take charge of it. We need somebody to want to do that. Say, I'm going to organize that. This date works for me, and then we take it from there. So that's really what I'm suggesting. And then historical highlights, bus tour, we're going to do that in October. Backyard concerts, we're gonna do that in the summertime. So, and whatever other ideas we can.
So I'm gonna stick to my calendar thing just for a moment and say then, it would probably be helpful to see what is going on in Newbury for activities, so that we don't bump up against
It's like a
something.
master calendar.
Yeah.
Yeah, just to make sure that we don't get in the way of, you know,
So
something
where
else that's already
Where
going
might that
on.
master calendar
I don't
live?
know.
I don't know either, because I don't think it's on the town calendar.
We
Does
dealt
it
with-
exist?
We dealt with this in Newburyport, and they had to get to a point where they were gonna potentially hire someone through the city to deal with it, and obviously they have like hundreds of things a month. But having a master calendar on their city website was a priority, because they want to make sure that people know what's going on in their city.
That
So-
ever happened, Ryan? Because that came out of that meeting.
I don't think it's happened yet, and I left the cultural council before I heard anything. I don't think it's probably happened yet. It's a lot of work.
Our activity will probably be a lot less
Exactly.
than theirs,
Considerably.
which
Yeah,
is
ours is gonna be
positive,
like
but,
10 things a month, if
Yeah.
that, like, if that, so.
I mean, when I used to look for just stuff to do, I went to like 4 or 5 different places, you know, there's a notice that somebody sends out, I can look through my phone and see what they
You'd think
are.
with AI right now that you could basically
Pull it together, yeah.
find the 4 websites that are
Exactly.
randomly, like the chamber has
The
one.
chamber
that-
does it, yep.
And it's like, just combine everything and put it
Yeah.
in one place.
Because like Parker River does stuff, you know,
Yeah.
there's just a couple of like, so we just need to think through what are the organizations that do event activity, where would their sites be, do an AI search.
Exactly.
I mean, you and I can maybe do that and
It's-
volunteer us,
well,
but.
I don't think we need to be that, honestly, I don't think we need to be that complicated in Newbury. Because what do we really have going on here? We've got town meeting, we've got
Some
school
people don't go to
events,
that,
right? It's mainly gonna be school events, which is
Yeah.
obviously gonna be September through June, really May.
Yeah.
Well, see, I don't even ever look at the school events because I don't have
Neither do
kids.
Yeah.
So I wouldn't even have thought to go on there.
Right,
No.
good point.
So what are the events that happen in town?
So Parker River does stuff, Audubon does stuff.
Yep.
Okay.
Does Denver do anything?
Is who?
The Governor's Academy, I'm sorry.
Oh,
I don't know.
I still call it GDA. sorry.
The Plum Island Light does stuff, you know, there's
Well,
those kinds
Plum
of
Fest.
little,
Plum
Plum
Fest happens.
Fest.
Yeah, who runs that?
Plum Fest?
Mm.
It's a group of volunteers.
It's a private.
That's
yeah.
pretty much become, that's September.
And I know Pitta Hall does some stuff out of there.
Mhm.
They have a Christmas show that they do in the
Mhm.
hall. They have an artist show that they do. But I mean, it's, like I said, it's a handful of stuff, but we just wouldn't want to plan something big on a Saturday. And there's the baseball that goes on at Spencer Pierce Little Farm, the
Old time baseball.
old time
Yeah,
baseball.
that's actually Sunday, but that I wouldn't worry about that, actually, because,
I still think, side note, the Newbury Cultural Council helping putting together a giant calendar of stuff like this is actually a really good thing for us to do,
okay,
personally.
go for it.
Yeah.
You're up.
Well, I'm already doing the sign, so.
Okay, then who would like to put together? a
It's also not right now. It's
I,
just
I
stuff to
will,
write
I
down.
will look and see as what I can find
Okay.
and bring it to the next
Well,
meeting.
the school ought to be pretty
There's definitely
straightforward.
some-
School, I don't
resources.
even know where to start. I don't know the names of the schools. I've never had children up here.
I will definitely, I can send you an email.
Okay,
They just
thank
sent
you.
out some.
2 of them are
letter.
10 minutes away.
Okay,
Yeah, that's true.
say that again?
Triton just sent out some big pamphlet thing, Triton Happenings.
Yeah, and I think the Triton actually has a calendar on its website.
Yeah.
So that's
Yeah, if you just, somebody send me the school names and.
Triton.
Triton. One.
Yeah, it's not too complicated.
Yeah,
no
and I think the
elementary,
Triton
elementary.
the Triton School District calendar, I think, actually
Includes
shows
the
the elementary
elementary?
schools, I'm pretty
Okay.
sure. Pretty sure.
Oh, okay.
Yes.
Pretty sure. I'm not 100% sure.
And then you got Plum Fest, right? You'll just look into what happens
Mhm.
at,
Yep.
on Plum Island, right?
Yeah, I mean, just because I used to always look for stuff to do, so I
Yeah.
kind of already poked
There's
into
a
a
lot
lot
of
of
fun
this.
ones. Yeah, there's some, definitely some fun
Yeah.
stuff.
And then where are we going to publish the calendar?
I will just pull it together for now for us to look at and see what we think, if it's valuable, I guess,
Yeah.
for anybody or not.
Yeah.
Because I think we need the name of the event, some kind of description, the title, and a website.
Mhm.
And if we can't get that, and the date, obviously.
Yeah,
Well, once we get our email,
exactly.
we could have,
Yeah.
I mean, we could give it
makes
to the
most
town
sense
to put
have-
it on the
It
site,
makes
Yeah.
the most sense to have.
which is
to
really
give it to
what
the
they
town.
should do.
Put it
Do
on
we
the
have a
town,
Newbury
yeah.
Cultural Council page on our town website?
I don't think we have a page.
Okay.
No, we don't have a page. We have a listing that's, has does not have all of our names on it.
I would also say that we should probably, when we figure out the email thing, we figure out the website so that there's a actual tab or page for the Newbury Cultural Council. Because just like any other board or anything in town, technically you have to have your page with the people that volunteer on it. So, pretty sure.
All right, well, this is where somebody in
Wow.
spare time is going to need to head over here and have
And
another
point at
chat with our IT
tech
guy.
people. Yeah, I'm pretty sure.
No,
We
I
dealt
think
with it
you're
in the
right,
report.
Ryan.
Yeah, we
Yeah.
dealt with it in the report,
And
so.
I think it's also, you know, like you said about not worrying about putting the notice out, that people that apply generally know what the schedule is, but there are other sort of fringe people that are thinking about doing something.
Or new people to town.
Yeah,
whatever.
yeah, you know, who don't, like, Stephen, my husband, asked me about applying for a grant, and how do you do that, and when does it have to be done? And, you know, he has no clue about it, even though I've done it for years, for different things, and so there are people that, if we had a web page on the town website, you could go there and say, oh, this is a resource, I could do something.
Yeah.
Yeah, and we'll also have information about applying for a grant.
Exactly.
And I just thought of another one, Ellen, the fireman's muster, which is in
Right,
July.
yes.
But yeah, no, you,
And they
honestly,
burn-
you know what, it's my
burn
best
Christmas
intention
trees,
to get
yeah.
the press release
Yeah,
out, but I have a real
I know,
interest.
yeah.
That's such an easy one.
It was more the stuff that I
Read the
was
paper
sick.
anyway, so it's
So I think
That's
to your
right.
point, you read it from perspective, where it's
Mark reads it.
actually, you've been on the other side where you don't have kids in school.
I don't know anything
But
that's
that you
going
still
on.
wanna go out and
Yeah.
do shit in your own town. So it's
Yeah.
like, where do I even go to begin that? So unless you're at the library and see a pamphlet, or unless you're in this, walking by the school for no reason because you don't have kids there.
Yep.
It's like, there's probably a lot of people out of the 6,000 plus residents in Newbury that
Yeah.
maybe would show up to a couple things. I mean, look how many people go to the bonfire.
Yep.
The Newbury bonfire is
Oh, the bonfire.
thousands of people. Yeah, we wrote that down.
Yeah.
It has thousands of people. They
Yeah.
don't all just live in Newbury. They come from all over
Oh,
because
yeah.
they see the promotion of it and they want to go
Exactly.
enjoy it.
Yeah.
So I think we dealt with it in the report, but the master calendar for that is like a whole other ballgame. I think ours is actually easier,
Ours would be
significant.
very
Significant.
manageable, I think, and then again, if we haven't, sorry, I know we're going all over here, but if we have our own little page, people could write our email address and say, hey, I have an event, it's not on here, and we'll add it.
Yeah.
And then we'll have it.
Yes.
And they can email us to an
Yes.
email address.
Yes, exactly.
Right, and that means,
Revolutionary.
but that means somebody is going to need to maintain that page, and I mean somebody, and it's not gonna be me. Because already, as I mentioned before, Gretchen is doing the most.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, and she's swamped.
Yeah.
And I'm just gonna repeat myself, I said to her, don't worry about updating our names, because it's just not a priority. But who are we gonna ask to do these updates? And it's a fantastic idea, but somebody's gonna need to maintain it, someone's gonna
Yeah.
need to have access. I don't have access to the town website for all the obvious reasons, and so Gretchen is stuck with doing our updates, which is not efficient,
Right.
but it is what it is.
I think it's also potentially, we'd have to ask, and maybe a legal thing with not having, like, you may need to go to a person that can access the town website. So at that point, we just need to find a better security
You're right,
protocol.
you're right, yeah. The
And
security
Gretchen's
alarm
slammed with
is
everything
a-
else, so it needs to be somebody that.
Sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt.
No, Gretchen's slammed with so many other things
Right.
that it makes sense that we just need a person that's basically data entry. You just need a person to type and copy and paste, and it can't be the person that's the clerk that's
Right.
getting dog tags and signing burning permits and all this other stuff. It just can't
Exactly.
be.
So all I really asked her to do, I said, we've got to get the agenda up for this meeting, right? That's
Yeah.
all you need to do, Gretchen. Other than that, I will not bother you.
Yeah.
But, so this kind of stuff
Yeah.
needs to have a, body behind it.
Yeah, and I think if we're.
And I think it's all doable, though.
Oh, yeah, and if we're showing that we want to do all these things and we need to get some grease behind the wheels, it's showing our town government that we need to have more help or augmented help because we are trying to do more things, and that should be a conversation that goes wherever it needs to go, because would you rather have nothing happen because we can't figure out how to
How to
find
get out there, yeah.
5 hours of a person once a
Yeah.
month to do something? It's
Yeah.
like, it's kind of a BS excuse, so I'm sure there's ways that we can.
I'm with you on that.
Yeah.
So then, and then if it needs to be, essentially it has to be approved at town meeting.
Exactly.
We need somebody to help support the
Yeah,
committee.
this is what we're trying to
You know,
do, this is all
yeah.
the great stuff,
Yeah.
but it takes work. We have the labor we're donating, but we need to have either the person that gets paid $18 an hour or $20 an hour to do it,
Mhm.
and that $100 a month to be able to have however many things listed as it gets going,
Mhm.
It's a town cultural information sharing thing, which is the number one thing that we all hear about, which is nobody knew about the town meeting, nobody knew about the big event, nobody knew about when the road was getting closed, nobody knew when they were repaving the culvert, but it's like, things get posted, it goes on Facebook, it goes to a void, because there's no clear place
Yeah.
to actually go, there's no resource pinpoint.
Yep,
So who do you talk to about getting that person? That's the question.
Tracy.
Yes, 'cause-
Yeah. First, you have to have, it's same as with the Sun, we need to have a concrete proposal. You don't just call up Tracy and say, we need a body Annapolis with data entry. We have a proposal, and it goes to, or maybe it starts with the select board. Maybe it's on the select board meeting agenda, that this is what the cultural council is proposing. We want to have a townwide calendar. This is, we show a prototype, perhaps. We say, but there are 8 of us on this committee. We're volunteers, and to make this a reality, we're going to need some help with data entry. You figure it out. Put it on the agenda for town meeting so that the citizenry needs to vote for it, because this is going to help solve the problem of the dearth of communications. This is one step towards solving the problem
Right.
that Ryan was just talking about.
Right.
So if I can comment, I really appreciate the energy and the enthusiasm of all this. This is actually very, very helpful. Having recently dealt with the calendar development and website stuff, it's an enormous amount of work. The calendar alone is beyond the capability. I mean, you're talking about half-time per person. It's just the technical aspects of it are significant, they're expensive, you have to get special program, I mean, to have any kind of dynamic calendar. You can have a static
Right.
calendar, but it's not particularly useful, people won't use it.
If it's gonna be updated and accurate.
It's just, again, I've been through this at a smaller element, and we still had to have a quarter-time person. So I don't know that necessarily is where we should be focusing our energy, even though that ultimately is a nice goal, and we can show where the opportunities are. I'd really like to see a lot of this energy focus on something that's very tangible, and I'd like the idea of the town day scaled down, so we don't have these 2 people running around trying to coordinate multiple locations, multiple people, and trying to, drum up volunteers and drum up the town to really respond. I think that, take what worked, put it in the upper green, which I think is a great idea. Let's just set a date. I agree we should kind of look for any kind of conflicts and just focus on that. And then in this process, we can kind of start working on the town to see what they're going to do to step up in order to start providing support services to general groups like ours. Knowing just a little bit of town hall and a little bit of what I've seen here, I think it's highly unlikely you're going to get somebody hired at the town to do this. That would be questioned significantly by a group of people, and I think it might get voted down.
Yeah.
And that's not necessarily, you don't want to start with something that's risky and potentially a loss. You want to start with something that can be successful and demonstrate that we have good energy and we're putting it in a positive way, and that might create some momentum.
I agree.
So
Let
I
me
don't
ask
want
you
to
this
be a
though,
downer.
so you make a very good point. Somebody maintains the calendar on the town website.
It's-
It's not
It's
it's horrible.
so bad.
It's not accurate, it's not updated, it's purely static.
Okay,
Yeah,
just wanted to throw that out there.
yeah, I don't, no.
Okay, so we'll
There's
put that as
nothing
an aspirational, something that's aspirational as we get in the swing of things.
Dynamic calendars are notoriously difficult.
Yeah.
And Alan, if you'd like to put
I'll put one together for us.
one together for us.
Yeah.
It would be.
Yeah, and I
Greatly
wasn't thinking of
appreciated.
hiring anybody, I was thinking you pay a contractor to like do this once a quarter, to update once a quarter for us.
Mm.
I mean, that, not certainly, they're not gonna hire someone to do something this kind of low level, if you will, but And I don't know, I guess it'd be interesting to see what you mean by a dynamic calendar, but if we updated a PDF file once a month and sent it to the town to put up once a quarter, that's as low level as I'm thinking.
You
Just,
talk
it's
about
better than nothing.
Searching capabilities, you're talking about how it renders on the page. I want to know all events between this time and this time. I
Well,
want
If that's how we
exclude
want to
these
do it,
type of
right,
events.
but if we,
Yeah, I
if
think
we
she's
don't
saying
do
a
it
dumb
that way.
down more, like a mix between a static, as
Yeah.
long as it's, you can have an
Static,
updated,
right.
real, correct, static calendar that
Right.
you scroll through. And it's way better than twice as good as the town's right now, so it's
Yeah,
Oh,
like.
yeah,
it's better than
absolutely.
nothing. As long- And you put on there, current as of July
Exactly,
1st.
yeah.
Right.
And
Start
then-
baby
Yeah.
steps.
I see what you're saying with like
August 1st.
searchability,
Yeah.
like time slot.
I wasn't even imagining
activity.
that.
Yeah.
That's like,
Yeah.
5 events on the same day, so that means your calendar can only show a certain number if it's static,
right,
right? You can't necessarily expand it.
Right.
So there's a lot of technical elements to this.
yeah, and that makes that one box huge, but then it just extrapolates to
Yeah.
every other box.
But if it's gonna be relatively simple, high level, just.
But again,
something like
just
that.
for our events, I can't imagine we'd have 5 on the same day in Newbury.
Oh, no, no,
Starting small.
I'll get you all the dates.
Yeah.
I mean, that's
Yeah.
easy to do.
Well, why don't we just, Ellen, why don't you?
I'll
you
put something
both make
together, we can get a look at what
Such
it,
good points.
yeah,
So,
what it
you
looks
so
like.
I
you
do
start
agree
with
that
baby
it's
steps,
a
baby
big nut
steps.
if you start to go.
Yeah.
yeah, that was
Because-
not at all what I was envisioning.
It
You
gets-
start with
it gets
start with
big
baby
fast,
steps,
for
right?
sure.
You do,
Yeah.
you do, and so we have something to look at, so, and we can see, oh my goodness, there are 5 events on one day. Or, oh, look, there's one thing in July and nothing else
Nothing till November.
And by the way, town meeting's 7 o'clock at the Newbury Gym. Everybody
Yeah.
better show up and vote, yeah.
Okay, so I think that's feasible.
All right, let's see where we end up, yeah.
Yeah, it's a start, but I like the idea of it. We talked about it in a new report because there were so many cultural events happening, so many concerts, so many things, so many auctions,
And they
and it's
haven't
like,
done it. And they
yeah,
haven't done it.
no, they're.
They actually built it. There is a newburyport.org website.
Okay.
And that does have calendars and it's not up to date.
Okay.
And it's very narrow in
Okay.
terms of what it covers.
To your point. All right, so then, getting back to what we were talking about is, so with Newbury Town Day, the first one in 2022 was in June, and we chose that date for a reason that I won't go into. And then after the first one, we realized that the second one really ought to be later in the summer. So that one, which was the very successful one, which was last year, was the weekend before Labor Day.
Right.
And so the kids are back from vacations, the older kids are already, I'm just telling you the reasoning. The older kids are already at their practices, and it's a lot easier to engage people at that time of year. And then everyone starts talking about September, because September is, oh gee, that's the perfect time. But what we found with September is that we just run into enormous conflicts. There's so much stuff going on in September that we thought that date would be great. One of the things that concerned me was that we would have trouble publicizing it over the summer because nobody pays any attention to anything, but that ended up not being the case. So Heidi, any comments there?
I'm busy in September. But no, I think it worked out really well. And some of the things that you have listed here, like the outdoor movie, was a grand idea, but a miserable failure because in the summertime, you have to have the movie in the evening, and the mosquitoes are wicked, no matter how much you think you can get sprayed beforehand, and it didn't work. It was an expensive thing to do, and it wasn't a practical event.
I wonder if we could do a drive-in at Central Street Fields, and that way people can be in their cars. That's what we did on Plum Island with youth services. We did a Plum Island drive-in.
How do you set it up?
It's a huge screen, and everybody has, like, you turn your radio to whatever station.
Oh, well,
And there's
actually, I
there's a
should
company.
admit, I knew that because,
I think you came one year or something.
no, but maybe the year before last, there was a musical performance at Spencer Pearson.
Firehouse did that,
And
right?
it rained, and everybody sat in their cars.
Yeah, the Firehouse did that, I think
Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah, so
All
there's
right, well, you know
company,
what,
there's
let's-
companies you can do it, but yeah,
Yeah.
Central Street Field, great opportunity, huge parking lot,
Mm-hmm.
park however you want, get people doing concessions or whatever, but yeah.
Right, so, but
Put
that,
the
that's
screen
gonna be,
up,
that's
no
a
bugs.
separate track from, because I think we're all agreeing that we love the idea of having Newburytown Day
Scaled down.
scaled down on
Yeah.
the upper green.
Mhm.
Okay, it's more visible, well, all the reasons we talked about before.
Mhm.
And so I think that if we decide that we all like the idea of focusing on that, then we pick a date. We say it's gonna be August 26th, which is not, because August 26th happens to know it's not a Saturday.
Tuesday.
So whatever the Saturday would be, I'm just throwing that out there. I mean, I don't have any skin in this game, but I'm just saying that it worked last time. Or we could, and actually, you know, well, this year, whatever, sometime in the end of August. And then we have the types of activities that we had last time, and then whatever else anybody wants to sign up to do, because to sign up to add to that event, but it's in one place.
It's the 23rd.
23rd.
It's the week before Labor Day. I actually like that day. I think you get into the fall, you're just competing with everything.
Right.
And, you know, the weather may be pretty good, hopefully.
And the 30th is part of Labor Day weekend?
The
Is it?
30th is Labor Day weekend.
Wow.
So it would be according to this, Labor Day is the 1st of September.
Okay, there you go.
Yeah, because it was very late this year.
Oh,
So the outdoor
I might
movie
be
is
gone that
listed
week.
even though it was a failure?
well, what Ryan's suggesting something, that we do something different.
Different.
Yeah, they had thought about the idea, but Heidi was sharing some very real factors,
So
challenges.
Yes.
When we had, Newburytown Day was all over town, literally
Yes.
all over town. Okay. And one of the activities was after the band played at Central Street Field, after the pickleball tournament that wasn't, then there was an outdoor movie. That was a bust. And so, but when we were brainstorming, also put the idea of an outdoor movie on this list. It would not be associated with
different
Newburytown.
form.
Exactly.
It could just be
So
a
what Ryan
very
just said-
different event.
Yeah.
and why not? Why not? I mean, it's worth looking into, but not as part, so, because
Correct.
Newburytown Day is gonna be on the green,
Yeah.
whatever that looks like. And we pick up the activities that worked well, and it's not only that they worked well, it's that people think about it, because anybody who
Right.
attended, either the first one or the second one or both, knows what to look forward to. So, and it's, you know, it's easy because we have the template already, and then whatever else, it's a year away, whatever else, we do the same thing we did last time, we put the word out. People raise their hand and say, I'd like to do so-and-so, or you tap somebody on the shoulder and say, can you please, Christine Malthika could maybe come do a presentation, although she's gonna be right in the middle of her Indigenous Peoples' Day, but whatever it looks like. So then so if we say August 23rd, we just put a stake in the ground and say it's gonna be August 23rd, then we need to start putting the steps in place, which is we need to inform the select board. We need to start thinking about the publicity infrastructure. So I was talking to Lynn, my husband, about this yesterday, and I said, it's gonna be Newburytown Days now. The website URL is Newburytown Day, which we're not gonna change because it's not worth it. But then the text, then we just call it Newburytown Days, right? Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Okay, there's no point in mucking around with the URL. Because half the time people would call it, because of Byfield Days, people would call them Newburytown Days anyhow. And I'd say, over my dead body, there's gonna be days. But, and then regarding the Facebook, I think we just leave it Newburytown Day, you don't get hung up on it, right? It's too.
But it's just gonna be one day though, right?
It's gonna be, well, there's gonna be Newburytown Day, but we're gonna rebrand it essentially as Newburytown Days, because we're going to be having activities over the course of the year that's going to be days.
I see.
So
So
it is.
Newburytown Days could be the one event on the green, it could be under the guise of a movie theater on the thing, or a drive-in or whatever, it's just the,
It's not necessarily
Umbrella.
consecutive, like
No.
the thing is
Right.
from August 23rd to the 25th.
no,
No.
it's August 23rd, and then the next time we do a drive-in, it's July 31st, or whatever it is.
We have another activity which might be Historical Highlights Bus Tour that's in May. And so on the Newburytown Days. And then for the website, we have one page that's Newburytown Day, August 23rd on the upper green. And then we have other pages that are the historical bus tour or a drive-in movie or whatever it might be, and that's how, because because I maintain the website, so I know how it's constructed, and that's what we could do. Of course, we have to resurrect it, it's dark now because we didn't pay for it. But we'll cross that bridge when we have to.
And I don't know how to really say this gently, but still, having done Newrytown Day for 2 years, people still say to me, "Well, Byfield Days, it was wonderful." Yes. Because we did that for 14 years and it made a lasting impression.
And everyone
Yes.
associates Byfield
I
Days
loved
with
it.
Heidi, because Heidi did it pretty much single-handedly.
I loved it, yeah.
Did
I'd
you
love
see
to be
that?
part of that, but it's our family camping trip that we.
Well, you know what? You know what, Mary? There is absolutely no reason, if someone wants to do it, that we have Byfield Days that's part of Newburytown Days.
Right.
Why not?
It's the egg and the yolk anyways.
And then we just do it right
Right.
down in the village and whatever it looks like. Although the church isn't there anymore. Heidi.
No.
So, a bit of a problem, but we still have the Grange Hall as a
Yeah.
venue, right?
Yeah.
And did you close the streets? Did you close Central Street?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, so we get the police to approve closing Central Street, and we have,
Yeah.
but somebody has to go to, somebody
I've
has
seen
to,
driver's
somebody has
license
to.
on the street.
Mary, there you go. You want to resurrect Byfield Days?
Well, I'm just thinking, I loved the artist open studio
Yeah.
thing on the green, and I didn't make it 2 years ago, or a year ago.
No, last year,
it was,
yeah.
Because it was my family camping trip up in Maine, and just so happens it's gonna be the same week next week.
Well, then that's not it.
Well,
We can
so,
move it back. We were, for 2024,
If we
the date
could,
that we had reserved at Spencer Pierce Little Farm, which did not come to fruition, there was a wedding that day, on the 24th. So we actually had reserved the 17th for 2024. So the plan was that we would do it. Are you gonna be gone that day as well?
no, we go 16th through the 24th.
I don't have any problem with having it pushed back to
I don't
previous
know.
Saturday.
What would you think about doing it the 16th?
Yeah,
go for it.
Or 2025.
For 25?
for 25.
So, sorry, moving the date or doing an additional Byfield Days?
No, no,
Getting
no,
the-
we did
this-
dates.
Instead of having, so Mary,
So not the
I
23rd of
really wanna-
2025.
yeah, because Mary really wants to do it.
Ah, gotcha.
So what is the new date? The 16th?
16th, yeah.
I know that's what that's how I met Margaret Russell.
Yeah, all right. And so, and nobody is, I don't think anyone's gonna split hairs over the third week of August or the fourth week of August.
So that means Mary, you're gonna be the leader.
Well, I think if we wanna do Byfield Days, then we would consider that for 2026, see how our new, yes?
Yeah, I think that's right. This is a little bit, let's prime the pump, let's get it done. Let's do one good event that would attract a lot of people. It's very focused, doesn't burn everybody out, and then we'll see where it goes from there. And I think that's what's needed.
The other thing I think we should think about, and I don't know whether this is a good idea or not, I'm just putting it out there because it came into my head, but from a marketing perspective, we could consider doing something like calling it Newburytown Day in Byfield, Newburytown Day on Plum Island, Newburytown Day in Newbury, rather
I like
than
that.
confusing the issue with bringing Byfield Days back, when really what we're trying to do, I think, is be
Ooh, I like that.
Newburytown.
This is our branding expert.
I love that. You were so good at that.
I've done a little bit here and there of it, but, so that's another thing to think about, because then next 26 could be in Byfield, focused on some of the Byfield stuff, then we move it around, maybe.
Yeah, or we can have two, we can do.
Or we do a bunch of them.
We can
Yeah.
have one thing
Yeah.
on Plum Island,
Yeah.
we can have one thing
Mhm.
in
Exactly.
Old Town, we have one thing in Byfield.
Yeah.
And just, as Bart said,
Yeah.
we scale it up. But
Yeah.
somebody has to be in charge of it, and as Bart said, it's not gonna be me and Heidi, I guarantee you that. So, but we'll all, we can all work on it, we can all work on all of this stuff.
Yep.
And we can think about what else so obviously, I didn't bring my stuff from last year, Heidi, what else do we have at Spencer Pierce Little Farm? That day we had the open art studio, we had the kids' activities, I know we had other stuff, oh, that, we had this tour, the tours of the buildings
Right.
at Spencer Pierce. Oh, and Stacy Fix had a little, she had her performance, her little,
The baseball was going on.
yeah, that's on, yeah, but we were gonna,
It was going on during the
that's
the
right.
time, right?
That was sort of coincidental.
Well, was it coincidental?
Did they have,
Yes, no, no.
word just went out of my head, the horse, the hay rides or the,
No, we didn't have
No.
hay rides.
There was no one to do it.
We could have had hay rides, we wanted to, but we
Okay.
didn't have anybody to actually. hold
Drive it.
And you had the cops arresting somebody.
Yes.
Oh, that was,
So we're,
Our chief of police happens to have a really good sense of humor, so.
and her husband was a
her
really good
husband,
sport.
dressed up as the Joker, and she came and arrested him.
Oh.
It's quite spectacular. Kids loved it.
No, actually, it wasn't Patty, it was a real cop who came and arrested the Joker and hauled him off to jail just in time for, oh, we still can do that, actually, just in time for the tours of the police station, so that when the kids went to see the police station.
he was
they
in
said-
jail?
he was in jail.
He was in
Ooh, I
jail.
love
Oh,
that.
it's hilarious.
It was.
I think we should be able to nominate someone to sit in jail for the day.
We could nominate a Joker every year.
I have a couple
And then,
of-
oh, and then we had the dunk tank. We could have the dunk tank down.
The dunk tank was enormously
Yeah,
successful.
we could have, there's no reason we couldn't have that at the Upper Green, right?
I think the dunk tank being at the Newburytown Days on the Upper Green it was so successful the first time, I feel like it's just part of,
All right, well, then we have.
seems like low hanging fruit, you already done it, you already experienced with it, it already was successful.
Well, and it helps that the money profited the
Food pantry.
food pantry.
Right.
All right.
So some people spend a really lot of money.
I would be definitely happy to take on the Open Artist Studios part.
Excellent.
Whatever Margaret did, I'll get some advice
Heidi
from
did it
her.
last year because Margaret wasn't on Ireland.
That's right, she was doing her.
Is that something that happens at the Green, just in tents? Okay.
Yeah. So the first year was at the Lower Green because that's where Margaret wanted it, because of her family history. But
Oh,
it was,
really?
it was very well attended. It just wasn't that practical. So we would just do everything. We'd just move it up to the, and then we
Great to
had
have
everything
everything
centralized, that when we could get feedback, the people who wanted things more centralized, which kind of wasn't really the original idea of Newburytown Day, but we got that feedback and said, okay, let's centralize as much as we can at Spencer Pierce Little Farm, including the open studio. So now we're just gonna shift everything down to the Upper Green. And the dunk tank was at the fire, where was it? Yeah, it was right in front
Between
of
the fire and the police station.
Yeah, right there on Morgan Avenue, right. So
In
what,
front of the old town.
we can move that down to the, Upper Green. So everything's at the Upper Green.
Yeah.
Is parking an issue there?
No,
No.
So
Was
Where,
it-
where do people park?
well, they can park on Hanover Street. They can park right on, the edges of the Upper Green. They
Okay,
can
so
park on
there's a
Morgan
lot of
Avenue.
places
Do they park along the road that's the dead end road?
that's cut off,
I'm not sure, but they can park on Route
On
1,
one side
because
of
you know
the
what
road,
they told us, Heidi, you remember? What the, it was John Lucy, I think, or was it Patty, I forget, said, it's a state road, but
Yeah.
essentially, I'm gonna paraphrase, since I'm being recorded here, don't worry about it. That's pretty much what the word was.
Yeah. 'Cause I
And
know
the
sometimes
police
they
are
park
well,
along
there,
one.
I mean, like Patty was there, they're part, the
Oh, yeah,
police are part of it.
there'll be police
So they
detail,
just,
yeah.
I mean, they just support, the whole point is that the town very much supports these activities.
Yeah, I
And
think
if it
there's a lot
has to
of
do
good
with
ideas.
helping us with parking, then so be it. We had a big budget item for the first year, 2022, which was police detail. We never spent it,
Mhm.
because Patty, this was before Patty was chief of police, she just did it on her own time.
Mhm.
So just to give you an idea of the kind of
Yeah.
support we got.
Wow.
I think laying that out and getting more specific, obviously, after this meeting, of these are the three things we definitely want to include, this is
I'll
what it
update
takes, this is
this,
the price,
I'll
whatever.
update this, that for excuse of the spreadsheet.
Yeah.
But I do really like Ellen's idea of Newburytown Day, inviting
Yes.
Newburytown Day in Old Town, Newburytown Day in,
It's a
love
great
that.
idea.
yeah. Because
That
what
work
we
is done.
originally wanted to do with
No, it's
Newburytown
not.
Day was to bring the three communities together, and we realized that was impossible to do. so.
Well, we did and we didn't. In many ways, we did. I mean, the question is, what do you mean by bringing the three towns
Yeah.
together? Because people did work together.
But the
People
first
did
year, we had
collaborate.
things really spread
Yeah.
out, so that, you know, you could go over to the refuge, you
Mhm.
could go to Spencer Pierce, you could come over here,
Mhm.
the snuff mill, you know, and it was just too much to do
Mhm.
in one event.
Which is why it makes so much more sense to do it by dates
Yeah.
now.
Yes.
Just move
Right.
it around and move the dates around.
Bring
so-
everybody to that one place at one
Exactly,
time.
that one.
Mhm.
And you know, part of both Newbury Town days was the historic New England open houses.
Mhm.
We just do that.
Mhm.
Again, there's
Mhm.
absolutely no reason that we
Yeah.
don't do that as well. It's open, the sites are open to Newbury residents, so you've got Spencer Pierce Little free
Yep.
it just is in general. Just, we make a big deal of it, right? Because it's Newbury Town Day, but
Right.
the historic New England, it opens all the properties free to Newbury residents anyway. So you've got the Coffin House, but we, in our budget last year, we paid historic New England
Docents.
for docents because they were there for longer.
Mhm.
And normally the Coffin House isn't open, not the Coffin House, Sweatley House isn't open. And then we've got right there, we have the, obviously Spencer Pierce Little Farm, and then the historical commission
Yeah.
will be looped in as well, because they have the tours on the lower grade of the schoolhouse. So we can still have all that stuff going on Newbury Town Day, because it's this like almost
Right.
zero coordination on our part.
We hand out maps.
We have
Say,
that-
here's all the places and here's the hours. and you can-
Shoot me now.
You can try, well, yeah. We won't get technical yet, but those are things one can do on their own, is what I'm saying.
Yes.
You just need to know where they're located and that they'll be open.
Yeah, we do have that map, just radically simplified. Yes, right. I mean, the map from last year. So, yeah,
So if we have, I'm thinking if we do the one day on the 16th, that we, again, as someone without children, it would be good if we think about enough activity divided up so that if I don't have kids, I'm still gonna go. If I do have kids, I'm gonna go.
Mhm.
So, you know, we have kids' activities, we have open studios. Hay rides are kind of for both, the dunk tank is probably for both, but just thinking about how to make sure we've divvied up something of interest for everyone.
Is there some kind of music or some kind of something in the background, some local bands or something?
Music
it's
would be
open.
great.
And- and when-
Great, yeah.
It's important for everybody to
You gotta think
realize
about people like Michaela,
that-
like that are in
that-
the middle of everything, where it's like, we
that
would just
the
go on a Saturday,
structure-
like to grab a beer, grab a hot dog, or like see it, like hear something and walk around the artist. Like if you're gonna have artist dues and stuff, having like something in your hand to walk around with, like
Yeah.
it could be by coffee company, it could be something like that, it could be anything where it's like a little bit of event, just so that you can like walk around with a lemonade or an iced coffee. It's like
What's that
such a
food truck
We-
that goes to the?
could be the Rusty Can food truck, could be by
There's a-
Coco,
What's
could
that
be.
little food truck that's always on the field, Manager Field?
That's the coffee company.
That's by Coco.
Is
that
That's
the-
Michelle.
And they were at Spencer Pierce last year. And the food pantry set up for Stephen's Car Show.
Mm.
They've done that for a couple of years, so they just sell
So
burgers and hot
the
dogs.
first year,
Oh, yeah,
of
I've
Newbury
seen
Town
that.
Day, we had the food pantry volunteers to sell hot dogs and hamburgers. Last year, and I won't go into detail because it's very complicated, but on that note, actually, Heidi and I strategically asked Historic New England to ask the baseball guys, the vintage baseball guys, if they would have their game during Newbury Town Day. So we would be sure, because we were starting from scratch, we had nothing, just to make sure there would be something there.
Mhm.
And they did, and they were really happy to do that, and they were happy to do it again last year. So as a corollary to that, somebody, without going into detail, he arranged for the, who are those guys, the Wolf Club in Newburyport, to come and sell hot dogs, which kind of precluded the Newbury Food Pantry. And we're like, okay, whatever, dude. And so the Newbury Food Pantry was down at Central Field during the band concert and the aforementioned movie, right? So we still loop them in. So I think we all would agree that for Newburytown Day 2025, we just go back to the food pantry and
Yes, we
ask
should.
them to do what they did in 2023,
Yeah.
too, right?
And
And
we
just
ask
have
the
them.
pantry people to
Okay, I'll go.
donate to the food pantry.
Right, you would give us the burgers you would have made us buy, so it's
Yeah.
free.
And then, and if you want, and the only thing is, we don't wanna, and we don't have to talk about this now because it's 7:30, but as we go forward, but absolutely, Ryan, and then we just wanna make sure that we don't have other vendors
Mhm.
who are essentially competing with the food pantry.
Of course.
Right.
Yeah, I would say and the whole point of local stuff like this is that you give the business opportunity to the institution that's in your town.
Absolutely.
And anybody else that likes to do it, they can absolutely donate something to the cause. But I would never wanna have like two competing food vendors, two competing beverage. We probably wouldn't wanna do alcohol, cause then you get into like a serving thing and laying and whatever, so that's why I was thinking like a Buy Coco is like, there's cold drinks they can do there, if they want something that's other than whatever the food pantry would do, which is like, I'm assuming they just sell water and something like that. Good sodas and water, because Michelle wouldn't probably do that, so it's like, just ask the question of, maybe there's a lemonade stand, and like, outside of those two things, if there's a bunch of kids and you ask out to get the young kids involved, it's like, you just have everybody bring lemonade and just
Get the Girl Scouts.
get the Girl Scouts or the Boy Scouts or something like that.
There
so.
you go.
There's no longer a Boy
What do we
Scout.
have, what was the softball, the girls softball team? What were they doing? I can't remember. But let me just make one more point, and then we'll set our date for our next meeting. We all have our tasks assigned, and then we'll go from here. But I just want to be clear that the structure of Newburytown Day was essentially bottom up. So Heidi and I provided the oversight and the publicity and the general organization, but all the activities were chaired and organized by somebody else, except for, because Martin Wood was going to be away last year, Heidi took over the open studios last year, just because we really wanted that, and Heidi has done that before, and she was really comfortable with it, but that actually structurally, organizationally, was not how it should have been. And because we have our hands, we had our hands full. In any event, the point I'm trying to make is that we talk about, let's have this and make sure that we have activities for everybody, but those are really bottom up, the activities are bottom up suggestions by volunteers, okay? And so of course we ask people to do stuff. I can't remember how the kids activity person, somebody asked her to do it. Whoever it was who ran the kids activities last year.
No, the kids activities.
Yeah, and it was fantastic. She had her daughters there.
Yeah.
And, all kinds of stuff, but that she was in charge of that. We were not in charge of that. Okay, so we need to just kind of think
provided
about
space.
that, because we're gonna have our hands full, just running the event, all of us, okay? But if somebody wants to take on something like, Mary just volunteered to do the open studios, fine. But no one's gonna argue with that, but it doesn't necessarily have to be chaired by somebody on this committee, is what I'm very long-windedly trying to say.
It's a great opportunity to get our neighbors involved and stuff like that.
Absolutely.
Let me know that you might want to join forces.
Yeah.
Good way to.
Yeah, and that's
bring
what-
people out.
Yes, and when we were talking before about the whole concept was to bring the three neighborhoods together, it was really about bringing the community together to cooperate and collaborate and have fun together. That was the whole idea. And, if it's your next door neighbor, or if it's somebody you know from over on Plum Island, then fantastic. And I got to know Rochelle Joseph that way, actually, because she stepped up to do, to get all the businesses on Plum Island involved last year. It was fantastic. Anyway, okay, so we're 5 minutes over. Anything else?
I have a commercial message.
Yes?
I've been given some photography equipment, those stands with the big umbrella things to reflect light when you're taking pictures, and they're free to anybody that can use them. They're in good shape. They look like professional things, but it means nothing to me. So if you know anybody.
What are they again?
I'll take a look. The reflectors on tripods.
Yeah.
I'll take
Yeah,
a look.
there are 3 stands of.
Cool.
I'll take a look. Email me.
Yeah.
Do you have a date?
Hold on.
Okay, date for our next meeting, our meeting after this one will probably be our voting meeting.
Yeah.
So we should probably schedule a meeting as a follow-up to this meeting in October. Yes? Okay? And that would be, Mondays seem to work for everybody.
Yeah.
I see, does the 21st work for everybody? 21st or 28th?
21st would be better, I think.
This is October.
Uh-huh.
It's in 3 weeks.
What time?
6 o'clock? And of course, I need to make sure this room is available unless we,
I would show up a little late. I teach a report that night till 6. But I could come just after.
Or do you want to do a different day?
Doesn't matter to me. I don't think showing up.
it doesn't matter to me. We, as I said before, we've been meeting on Mondays because it was convenient for Lloyd, but it doesn't matter to me. Barb?
Every night is horrible.
Is there any that's less horrible than others?
No, I just blew off my private practice for tonight.
Thank you.
I'll be outside with a little cup.
Taking money right out of Barb's bank account.
I
So,
keep as few meetings as possible.
well, just for the fun of it, why don't I propose, well, are Tuesdays better for people, or the 22nd?
Tuesdays work.
No, let's keep it on Monday. It's fine.
Okay. So, Ryan, is it just the 21st that you need to be here, or is it every Monday? Because
No, it's completely random.
just the 21st.
Yeah, it's just that one particular day.
Okay,
on
then
that
let's
one
make it the
particular
20th. It's
month.
Heidi?
Do
Can we
28th?
make it the 28th?
Yeah.
Because that gives us 4 weeks anyway. Okay?
Come in costume, yeah.
Cultural Council Halloween party. And I think, all right, so let's say Cultural Council at 6 because I'm going to need to reserve the room, okay? And I will let you know if there's any issue with that date. Otherwise, book it.
I move to adjourn.
Second?
I got leftover Indian food.
Second.
Ooh, sounds really
Yeah,
good.
yeah,